Over the years, Kanye West has made many absurd claims, but the one he just made against Jay-Z may be the most outrageous to date. And perhaps, just possibly, it's not all smoke. Ye would naturally go viral on the internet. He's kind of into that. However, this was more than a passing tirade. The entire public image of Jay-Z and Beyoncé was directly and explosively attacked by this. Ye claims that Jay-Z has been concealing an army of illegitimate offspring all around the nation, as well as Beyoncé. She's been helping to hide it all, he says. Let's be honest now. Whispers are nothing new to us. Instagram profiles, lawsuits, and women claiming they were told Jay-Z was their father. However, no one with Ye's degree of insider knowledge has ever publicly fueled that flame. This is more than a mere outsider taking shots. This individual was essentially family. Jay gave Ye one of the greatest career boosts in hip-hop history, and Kanye used to refer to him as his older brother. Together they have shared stages, gone on tours, and produced hits that helped define an era. You have to wonder what caused that link to be so severely broken for Ye to say something so serious. Ye isn't holding back either. He's not making a subtle shake or releasing a cryptic lyric. He stated unequivocally that hundreds of children may be connected to Jay-Z and that he has been evading DNA testing for years. You pause at that number alone. Hundreds. That's simply Ye being Ye, right? Or does he have knowledge that the general population does not? Let's take a moment to go back. Letitia, a Maryland native, has been posting on Instagram for years. Under the alias of Jay's first daughter, she says her mom told her that Jay-Z is her father, and that even her own sister backs her account. Then there is Ramya Satterthwaite, who has spent more than 10 years attempting to have Jay-Z appear in court for a paternity test. State and federal courts have heard his case repeatedly, but Jay's attorneys keep having it dismissed on technical grounds. There has never been a DNA test. And it's no accident. At a time when Jay-Z's name is already associated with some significant trouble. Because of the repercussions surrounding Diddy, Ye is dragging everything back into the spotlight. However, it goes beyond paternity drama. Kanye is creating a painting in which the outward perfection of Beyoncé, Jay, and the Carter Empire as a whole is a carefully constructed mirage. According to him, Beyoncé has been swaying the media for years to paint him as unstable and unreliable. That she was manipulating levers behind the scenes to paint him as the insane one each time he got off the internet. Furthermore, if that's so, Ye's tantrums may have been more than just emotional outbursts. Perhaps those were warning shots. Additionally, the media is merely a well-oiled machine that keeps him in line. Consider it. Beyoncé hardly ever talks in public unless it's in a setting that is completely controlled. She is not a sitter for untidy interviews. She doesn't reply to arguments. She allows the media to portray her in a positive light. However, Ye sees that as strategic warfare rather than merely discipline. He claims that she has been planning his demise in order to shield Jay-Z from the kind of criticism that may destroy their multi-billion-dollar company. It's no secret that Ye had a period of isolation from the industry. He has previously vented about being excluded, having phony friends, and having ulterior motives. This time, however, he is directly accusing those who once sat at his dinner table. And there is one thing that is more noticeable than anything else when you listen to him now.
He's not only upset, he is injured, actual pain.
The kind that isn't based on hearsay, the kind that results from treachery. What's really unsettling is Jay-Z's silence during all of this. No denials, no declarations, and no lawsuits flowing back, just total, well-considered silence. Silence isn't usually strength, which is where things become interesting. It might be a tactic. People dig more when Ye talks more. And when people dig, they start finding things that were always there, just neglected. Consider those legal actions. The majority of them never made it far. However, this isn't because the allegations were shown to be untrue. They were simply rejected due to statutes of limitations, filing errors, jurisdictional inaccuracies, and technicalities. However, the DNA tests never took place. Everyone keeps coming back to that item. Imagine now that you are among the children or adults who think Jay-Z could be your dad is observing. Cheers. Your reality was abruptly screamed aloud by the man who used to sit courtside with the Carters. It's fuel, not only confirmation. Not because of some gossip site, but because one of the most well-known individuals on the planet kicked down the door. These stories, these faces, and these lost voices are all making a comeback. The Beyonce angle comes next. This is where the cold sets in. Ye claims that she is actively eliminating her husband's adversaries in addition to defending him. And in this instance, he thinks he is the enemy. He claims that the Carter machine was silent and in charge. Headlines, influencing social media platforms, and even changing public opinion. His outbursts are referred to as breakdowns.
He dismissed his suspicions as hallucinations.
However, what if that's precisely what they desired? The safest course of action for the Carters would be to publicly dismiss Ye if he truly knows something they wish to keep hidden. Let's not pretend that Beyoncé hasn't used brutal image control. She is the queen of restrained perfection and stillness. She avoids making impromptu comments or stumbling into interviews. Every action is practiced, and every look is customized. Her armor is her excellence. Additionally, according to Ye, the same armor has been utilized as a blade. Effective, incisive, and subtle. He has a cruel theory. Beyoncé did more than simply shield her husband. He was the first pawn to fall when she played chess with his adversaries. The deeper Hollywood link is an additional factor. Jay-Z is a part of a much bigger enterprise, according to Ye's hints. He is not only in charge of music. He is in spaces that influence politics, power, and culture. Identical rooms, cheers. Assertions that silenced others who came before him. LeBron, Shaq, Barkley, and Jay-Z were among the people he mentioned as being controlled puppets. Here's the twist, though. Jay is not the puppet, in Ye's opinion. He believes that he is the puppeteer. What does Ye make of it then? He sees himself as the system's flaw. The man whose job it was to play his part, keep quiet, and make millions. He deviated from the script instead. And that made him dangerous because people listen, even if they only call him crazy. When someone who has been inside the circle starts screaming about what's actually happening, not playing defense though, he is attacking. Furthermore, his outbursts are not sporadic. This is a strategy. All of the accusations, tweets, and cryptic interviews are part of a campaign, or perhaps a war. In order to demonstrate to the world that the empire they revere may be based on deception, legal snags, and covert payments, he is attempting to destroy the illusion. One thing is certain, regardless of whether he is correct. He is not going to back down. We're dealing with more than just another celebrity feud. If Ye is telling the truth, one of the strongest dynasties in music has a fissure in its foundation. The Carter brand has been meticulously refined. Red carpet elegance, sold-out tours, billion-dollar companies, and a perfect family image. However, something darker comes to light as a result of Ye's outbursts. Silence, allegiance, and the methodical annihilation of dissidents are the pillars of a shadow empire.
He's not merely hurling pebbles at the glass either.
His goal is to bring down the entire home. These days, when Ye talks about the Carters, he doesn't seem to be a man squabbling with his peers. He had the sound of a cult escapee. He doesn't sound merely resentful. There is a sense of urgency to it, as if he were alerting the people to a sinister presence. He sees Jay-Z and Beyoncé as more than just famous people. They are the architects and handlers of a machine that turns quiet, money, and power into an indestructible legacy. On paper, the hypothesis seems crazy, but as you dig further, you see that it's not. Every story follows a pattern. Women who come out with claims only for their cases to vanish into judicial dismissals and sealed records. Instagram profiles of purported kids with strikingly similar facial traits. Legal teams that put up a strong fight to prevent DNA testing, but never completely disprove the allegations. Gaps in media coverage, reports of gag orders and settlements. Over and over again, people talk and then depart from the discourse. Jay-Z allegedly kept one of these putative daughters in a secluded apartment, according to a former acquaintance. Bills were paid, albeit with severe guidelines. No pictures, no interviews, simply a silent life, well-funded yet unnoticeable. The world's perception of him as a proud family guy would be upended by that narrative alone. The illusion starts to fall apart when you multiply that by a dozen or 100. The timing of Ye's charges makes them even more devastating. The entertainment industry has been rocked by the Diddy fallout, and people who were previously assumed to be untouchable are now being scrutinized. Jay-Z's extended friendship with Diddy places him near to the bomb radius. And yep, he's watching the walls close in and challenging the people to connect the dots. In addition to revealing secrets, he seeks to bring about a full-scale breakdown of what? He views it as a deceptive empire supported by intimidation and trickery. He continues removing and reposting for a reason. He will state one thing on a podcast and then contradict himself a few days later for a reason. It's not that he's uncertain. He does this because he is fully aware of how deep this could go and how risky it could go if he pushes too hard. Every time he opens his mouth, he's walking a tight rope between disclosing the truth and painting a bullseye on his own back. However, it's obvious that he has outlived his concern. His discussion of isolation adds to the overall spooky atmosphere. Ye claims that in the music business, he has always desired a family. Believed Beyoncé and Jay-Z to be that family. That's why this feels more like a weaponized sadness than retaliation. He isn't merely making statements to make news. He's swinging because he thinks they tried to delete him after betraying and using him. In his imagination, they didn't simply leave. When he approached the truth too closely, they spearheaded the effort to quiet him. Ye has finished being pleasant. He is prepared to set the palace on fire. And whether you think he's insane or dead on, the fire he started is spreading. The only thing left to wonder is what would happen if even a small portion of what he's saying proved to be asterisk.